Hi, my name is Charlotte Law. I graduated with the Mu Prime cohort in 2011. It's hard for me to believe it's been as long as it has. It goes by very quickly. I'm here today to share with you a little bit about my thesis research. First, I'd like to share with you how I came about my topic. And second, I'd like to share with you how I created the approach or the methodology in terms of what I researched. And I also would like to share with you a couple of findings that I found quite interesting in terms of the work that I did do. And last and most importantly, I'd like to share with you how the thesis process has enriched my life, both as a student and a professional practitioner. But first, let me go back and share with you how I chose the topic I did. It was 2009. I was in Lyon, France with my class. Miriam Lacey was leading our group, and she invited Dr. Joseph Bentley from Utah, who is a professor emeritus at the University of Utah, to join us. He was sharing with us some very interesting stories about his research, and in the course of that day, he happened to mention as an aside this idea of hope and the importance of hope in an individual's life and the life of teams and groups. And he happened to add that we know very little about the impact of hope in organizations. And I definitely had an aha moment. I will never forget sitting in that class that day, looking out the window and thinking to myself, hope in organizations. And what I realized was that anytime I decided in my professional life to leave a company, a role, an organization, it was because I had lost all hope. And that inspired me to look more at hope and how it impacts organizations. And my research led me to find a validated hope instrument by Dr. Snyder, now deceased. And I chose 15 companies, and I had every individual in that company sample take the Snyder Hope Scale instrument that measured their hope. And I also interviewed them as well, one-on-one. And once those interviews and those surveys were completed, each organization got a hope score. And essentially, I divided them into low hope groups and high hope groups. And I went about the process of trying to identify the specific behaviors that leaders were displaying that either raised their teams, their individual employees' level of hope, or actually diminished their hope. And so this leads me to share with you a few findings that I found quite remarkable. First, interestingly enough, leaders who were physically present with their workers had workers with a higher hope score. That was the most surprising finding for me in my research. Another finding was that individuals in organizations who worked with their leader together to co-create their work goals had a higher sense of hope. Now, of course, there were many other findings as well, but those were probably the two findings that I was not expecting. But this leads me to the last thing that I'd like to share with you, and that is, how did the thesis process impact me both as a student and as a practitioner? I would say, without question, the thesis process was the most enriching scholarly work that I was engaged in during my school experience. And I know that's surprising to say, and maybe to even hear for you, because there was a lot of wonderful things about the program, and many times I wish I could almost go through it again. But how the thesis process enriched me was it really enabled me to have an opportunity to hone my analytical skills, really refresh that aspect that many of us leave far behind once we finish our college years. And to this day, there's almost not a moment that goes by in my professional life where some aspect of the thesis process impacts my thinking and my practice, whether I'm writing a paper, putting together a program, facilitating a session, engaged in a consulting or a coaching project. There is some aspect that I know as a result of my thesis process, I'm a better practitioner. I hope what I've shared with you today helps inspire you and helps you think about how you would like to proceed throughout your thesis journey. Thanks.